One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
From the heart of Appalachia, located under a shopping mall near the city that moves mountains, you're listening to Here To Chew Bubblegum.
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Greetings.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hi, Flockers.
Episode 100.
100.
100. Welcome, everyone. This is episode 100. We have the Mega Roundtable show. Rebecca and Dirty Dan are going to introduce everyone. So whichever one wants to go first, take it away.
Okay, so I asked on Shitmess, which is beautifully calm. Heather, you have been just so much help and become one of my best friends throughout this whole thing. So I wanted to have you on here, get you out of your shell a little bit, and you need to be here. Alan, chaotic. It has been a fucking journey. It has been a fucking journey. I remember back in the garage days. And then Sonia, to a Patriotmama, your mission never goes unnoticed and huge inspiration and always been longtime supporter. So it's always an honor to have you on. Dirty
And then
Dan,
most certainly we cannot forget the one and the only. He is extremely tired from his journey off of the trail to join us today. Please give it up for Mr. Bollin Cox.
Hello, gang.
Now, a lot of people do not know this,
Whoa.
but Bollin, what? I can say something before you introduce the next one.
I wasn't done with Bollin.
Okay.
But go ahead. Go ahead.
No, please, by all means, sir. I don't want to hurt your feelings. Please go ahead, finish.
No, you started. You got people on cliffhanger. Come on.
Bollin is Kenny Rogers' son.
It's true.
All right, Dirty Dan, continue. Let's get this thing started. Come on, man. What is this, your first podcast show?
I told you it's my first 100th episode. And now, a position often forgotten when the royalty is here. It is none other than the official flock court jester, Mr. Justin Perkins.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I would take that as an insult.
I take that as a compliment. I take anything Dan gives me well.
Hey.
Sorry, Rebecca.
it is what it is at this point, Justin. I know y'all have an affair going on behind my back. It's fine.
It's usually behind my back, too, so, I mean.
Well, we've got that out of the way.
Just like, all right.
We had a bomb dropped. Rebecca, you were starting with Shitmess, and I have tried to get her on the show for quite a while, and she's always told me maybe later on. She's finally here. This is a very special episode. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. I'm honored, honestly, because it's the 100th episode. So for me and in my journey, I'm going to already cry, right? That's what that means to me, to be asked for this and people keeping me accountable to come out of my shell, and share what I have, where I've been, who I am. And I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
Here it goes. Okay. We're good.
We can't. She mascara today, people. She
mascara
mascara
today.
Well, we will let whoever wants to go first. Or I could pick someone at random, chaotic, if you wanted me to.
Well then. Oh, well, what do we talk about as far as journey? Like when we got red pilled, or like
whatever that journey looks like for you, whatever you want to bring up, whatever you want to.
Well, I mean, I think that's where it begins for a lot of people. So, I mean, I'll start there because I was never a conspiracy theorist before all that. So
now you're just a conspiracy truthist.
That's it. So my journey started in 2018 with Nexium, the sex cult that got busted in California. Because that just, everything that was involved, the people that were involved, Seagram's Gin, all the way to Jeff Benzo's, just everybody was involved in it from top to bottom. So that's when my research began, and I haven't been able to get out of the rabbit hole since. So, but chasing that red pill, I did all the Save the Children stuff. That was my first go around, was organizing Save Our Children marches in my area, getting involved with human trafficking. And with that came my whole spiritual journey. I had no clue that that's where I was going to lead, but as soon as I started looking into myself, my shadow work and meditating and all that, is when I ran into Rebecca on TikTok. And since then, I met Dirty Dan, met Goose. It's Shitmess, everybody. It's been an awesome journey for me, and I feel like it's only part of the way through.
That's awesome. That, I mean, and when I came to Flock Fest, you and Shitmess is I mean, you guys were at the top of my list to meet, then that, I mean, I didn't have a numbered list, so no one take offense to that. That's just a figure of speech. I wanted to meet everyone, but I mean, when I pulled up and I was talking to Mike, and he's like, "You can't park there." I'm like, "Okay, you need to go over here." And then there is Heather that comes up, and I'm like, there is no feeling to describe what it felt like. And then I handed her a quart of Eastern Kentucky homebrew moonshine, and she looked at me. She's like, "I don't drink." I'm like, "Oh, well, this is for you anyway. You can give it away if you want to." And so then I went and parked, and then I, started walking up, and then I saw Alan, and I mean, that was a great start to a great day.
Absolutely.
I agree.
It was amazing. I was looking forward to meeting everybody.
Me too. I was looking forward to meeting everyone.
What'd you say, Sonia?
I said I'm so sad I missed that. I tried to. Even the last day I was trying to come, I was like, all right, if I drive, I can get there by this time.
I know you were. But here's the deal. You have a year. So if I'm not already on your calendar for Flock Fest, I'm hurt. I'm taking it.
You didn't give me the date. How could I just...
Labor Day. It's my birthday.
Oh, okay.
Or
Labor Day. It's 3 days now.
Or you could have 6 months to a year. Right?
What?
Because we're going to try to do something in the spring as well.
Oh, right. Yeah, so, 6 months.
Well, then you better get on getting me a date.
Spring break. I got you. We will be dropping dates soon. Yes, Sue?
Yes. So, Patriotmama, your TikTok, when I had watched you from afar for quite a while before I actually knew that Rebecca had what?
I just went down for misinformation on TikTok.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
How? No one said the C word.
And it begins.
So, but I had been watching you from afar and following you before Rebecca told me that she'd been in contact with you and you were going to be on the show. And I'm like, really? Oh my God. And I had this fangirl moment. And just the things that you do on TikTok and the awareness that you bring is, I mean, everyone should be fighting the good fight like that, but no one seems to. And you posted, let me pull up something here on my phone that I actually screenshotted, and I actually called, and this has been a couple of weeks ago. Let me pull it up here. You posted a TikTok talking about the Attorney General from Michigan, Dana Nessel. Do you remember that one?
Trying to remember.
She was the one.
Oh,
yes. She wanted. She made a comment about drag queens being in school and so forth, and you gave the phone number on that, and your TikTok made me aware of that, and I went down that rabbit hole, and I actually did call that office and tell them to focus more on math and so forth, as you said in that TikTok, and not drag queens. And when I mentioned drag queens, I got hung up on. So.
Gee, I wonder why.
But can you tell us what got you to TikTok and made you start making content like that?
I started TikTok about 2.5 years ago. I was getting bans constantly or being put in Facebook jail. My kids were on TikTok, with their video gaming and stuff, so I monitor them. So I saw, but then as I'm scrolling, I started noticing my people. So I said, let me try. And here I am 26 accounts later. But, about 2 years ago, I said, let me see. There wasn't a lot of people at the time talking about, the child trafficking. So I said, let me see if this is the platform for that. So I started posting some stuff, and yeah, lo and behold, a lot of people did not know about it. I did a lot of research since, 2016 on this. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, Q got me there. And I did a deep rabbit hole research on all of this. There's a lot of stuff obviously involved with this. And I kept screaming it, but I kept getting taken down. But what I was finding was I wasn't waking people up. There were so many people that weren't awake that they couldn't handle the top level stuff that I knew, the satanic stuff that I knew. And I wasn't doing any good. I was preaching to the choir of the people who knew already, which is why I'm not on Truth Social really posting on there, because what point or what good am I doing? It's preaching this to the people that know it already. I want to wake up the people that don't know, but they weren't able to handle that high level stuff. So I took a step back one day and I said, how can I make a difference? What can I do? So I said, let me start back at ground level with what's going on in your towns, your communities, your schools, the bills that are being passed, and see if I can make a difference this way. So that's what I started doing. I got a lot of heat for it because I did step back from the conspiracy theory posting, and that's fine. If people have a problem with that, then you're not on the same mission as me. Because what I was finding, since I did that, I started waking up so many more people because they were able to digest what was going on in their communities. They were able to digest the stuff that the news isn't reporting, but is happening in your schools. And more people started jumping on board and spreading the awareness. And now what I'm finding is a lot of those people that did start waking up to this are now finding the stuff that I found, because now they're digging down the rabbit hole. But what I wanted to do was, instead of just constantly posting about the bad stuff, I wanted to get people involved in their own communities. Educate them on how to keep your kids safe online. Give them the statistics that are coming out about how many kids, 1 in 3 kids, is targeted online, social media, games, whatever. And if you're not protecting your children with this knowledge and this education, your child is going to wind up in this as well. Because the trafficking, there's people that I have spoken to, the founder of the organization that I work with. It happened under his own roof. And he's been fighting child trafficking as an active duty Navy chief for 10 years. He now runs an organization that is concentrating on aftercare, which is another missing piece. It is not spoken about, because what happens when these victims are rescued? And a lot of them are runaway teens that have been forced to do drugs. And now what do? We always see, the predator was caught, they were rescued. But what happens? If they're not given the proper aftercare, it's a constant recycle. They wind up back in the trafficking world, just like the offenders wind up in the out on the streets reoffending. So we have to tackle the legislation in your states And we have to tackle the aftercare, because if they are not properly cared for, it's the same recycle of these victims. They're back in the trafficking world. So that's what I have started to focus more on, and why I teamed up with Change Unchained, because they are tackling that. They are new, but we need more aftercare programs. Because if we don't have them, it's never going to stop.
I totally think that you are 100% correct, and I applaud you and thank you for what you do. Even in the small town that, myself, Bollin, and Justin are in, and there's a lot of people who don't know this. I mean, human trafficking has been going on in this area probably since 2008 or 9. And you would be surprised at people that actually do disappear from this area. Some of them, like right now, and there's a specific type, like you'll have a series of months. And this has just been over the last 3 years. You've had anyone from 28 to 34, blonde hair, blue eyes, similar build, and these people are missing, and they have no answers. And you've had people come through this area that have been taken to jail, and you actually had one charged a couple of years ago that was local, that was connected to the human trafficking ring. And so it happens all across America, big cities, small towns. If you think that it can't happen in your area because you're small, you're sadly mistaken. It does.
And another corrupt thing is CPS. That's been something that I've been trying to speak on for over a year on that platform. And as soon as that word comes out of my mouth, they take me down. So we created The Dark to Light. I have a group of 5 people. We have a podcast, which is fairly new, and we're going to start exposing it. I did 1 episode already on it just to wake people up. But that system was put in place back in 1997 by the Adoption and Safe Families Act to basically steal your children and sell them. And the statistics are 20% of the kids that are taken through CPS are for accurate reasons. The other 80% is not. And they specifically benefit off of keeping your children away from you. They gain more money. They gain more funding by stripping you of your rights. And they have it in place that after 15 months, if they keep your child away from you, they strip you of your parental rights, and they can sell your children through adoption. It was a criminal system that was put in place to traffic. The government built that system to traffic your children.
So can I ask you a question? What have you noticed about yourself in going on this journey of trying to educate others and bring the light to the darkness and expose all of this? What have you found the journey that you've gone on personally?
It's been a very bumpy one. But it's made me stronger, because at the end of the day, can I sprout wings and go rescue people's children? No. But can I give you the tools of education awareness for you to do it yourself? Absolutely. There have been some people that have called me for advice on a CPS thing. Yeah, I can help you with that education. However, I can't go rescue your child once it's been put into CPS. There has been...
Because you're a person.
I'm a person, and I can only do so much. I have noticed that it warms my heart that after 2.5 years that my FYP is flooded with people spreading awareness, talking about this, because it really wasn't like that 2.5 years ago. So there are times where I will sit back and say, you guys got this. There was a couple of big topics that came up recently, and everybody was tagging me to speak on it. And it was more like, no, I've been holding a lot of people's hands along the way. You guys got this. You don't need my seal of approval. If you don't know how I feel on the topic, then you don't know me. So sometimes I will sit back and watch everybody going, and I'm like, go. So it makes me smile to see so many people standing up and fighting for the things that I have been trying to fight for, spread awareness about. So I don't want to say proud, but it warms my heart to see so many people so passionate about this cause and this topic now.
I'll still never understand why it took this much. Like, why is it this hard? Like, if there's anything that was going to bring if there's anything that was going to bring everybody together, it should be the children.
Well,
like, what are we even doing? We're fighting about every fucking thing on the planet, but we can't come together over our children. Drives me bonkers.
I think it's because it's connected to so many other things that you really have to deconstruct that programming. You have to break down and unlearn all of those things in order to fully wrap your head around the fact that it's these people that are doing these horrific fucking acts. And I think that's the disconnect that people have. I think that they shy away from it and they step away from it because they don't have the capacity in their mental space or in their heart space to actually come to terms with the fact that this is happening in your own fucking backyard. Like and that's the disconnect. That's why the fights happen. That's why we're going to nitpick all of this shit over here so that we don't have to get uncomfortable and actually talk about the real issues.
And I'm sorry, Sonia. Please, by all means, go ahead.
You know, and along the way, I'm still learning as well. I'm not a professional at this topic. I'm still learning, but I've made the time to talk to founders, connect with founders, and find out what's really, really going on instead of just, you know, reading. I'm talking to real life. I'm getting, you know, private messages with pictures of survivors with infants that they've rescued. You know, it's when you connect with the people that are actually in this, doing this, and seeing what's really going on, it pushes me even more because now I'm getting confirmation that, you know, the money that we've raised for that organization is actually helping a victim. And if it was all for one child, then it was worth it, the whole thing. And I did get confirmation that there was a young victim that they rescued, and she had a brand new newborn baby, brand new. And had it not been for her being rescued by this organization, this baby would have gone through this world. And to see this infant be able to be saved and know that the money that we were sending to them was paying for the gas that was taking her to the pediatrician 40 miles away from the organization or anything, clothes, whatever it was that he was sending confirmation of, it was all worth it.
Absolutely.
And it just pushes me even more because they're building the homes and they're rescuing people. They have a waiting list. And I want to make sure that he keeps going and he keeps building those homes so that we can actually get these victims out of this world and back into real life after they are healed.
Maypole made a comment earlier, and it says most people prefer to stay blind to it and don't want to admit it exists. And I was going to say the exact same thing. That is why, you know, chaotic when you said, you know, you don't understand why it took so long to bring awareness to this. People, you know, if they pretend it doesn't exist, then they don't have to deal with it. You know, my mom's been on the show. I love her to death. Purple Princess made a comment there, you know, that, you know, she was kind of sheltered growing up and she was safe. I was sheltered as well. So you can imagine me going into some situations that I went into. And I think I've talked about this on the show before, but one that haunts me is going with CPS to get this little girl who was, you know, about 2 years old, whose insides were hanging out because she had been raped so much. And the conditions that she was living in, they had loaves of bread and other things tied to the ceiling on a string. And when I asked, you know, I won't say man because he wasn't a man because he was a piece of shit to do that to a kid, why they had that tied to the ceiling, they said that they had that tied to the ceiling so the rats and mice would not eat their food. I mean, just, you know, not even talking about what happened to this poor child, just the living conditions that and the squalor that she lived in, it was just heartbreaking. That is one of the things that sticks with me. that I feel good about, that I help get that child out of that situation. That child was placed with a family member that, loves her and cares about her. She's grown today. She's doing good. I've seen her over the years. She seems to have no memories of that. And, at times I still wake up having nightmares from that situation as well. But I am blessed to be able to say that I helped that young girl back then.
Yeah.
And I bet it made you feel good.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Justin, you and Bollin, I'm going to get some comments on you on what Patriotmama has been talking about.
I'm here for it. Everything, I agree with everything she's doing. So,
What about your journey? How did you end up on this podcast?
oh, my journey. How did I end up on this podcast? Well, I emailed in for some advice on my condition. For those that don't know, I was born with one gigantic ball where my cock should be, and two tiny candy cocks where my ball should be. So,
and they are sweet. It is like candy.
I needed some advice, and I was also, a believer. So after you guys responded, and I just kept writing in and become a member of the gang, I believe. So
yeah, you and you've actually become a good friend.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple times that I've been down and had shitty days, and you've believe it or not, have actually said stuff to make me feel better and make me look at things different.
Well, I appreciate that. Same here. I can say the same about you. All you guys. I consider all you guys family. Some long days out there on the trail.
Oh yeah, looking at some of the comments there.
I just want to address one. We have the big, serious, huge, amazing story thing from 2A, and then that, and guys, it's all about perspective. Like Sonia has a very long, hard to handle, hard to chew, hard to swallow background and mission, but just the opposite. It's just as not in the same retrospect, but it's just as hard for someone to be the one to always come in and give everybody a laugh, make sure they're okay, because you don't know their internal struggles either. And so, like, anytime we get something from Bollin, it's a breath of fresh air, because it's always something that we can just be silly for a minute and relax and have a good laugh, and make sure that we're okay before we have to go back and deal with something like Sonia deals with all the time. Yeah. And we have our supporters there.
That is 100% of what Bollin's about. Just, sometimes you just got to laugh.
That's it.
Not
Everybody
too,
plays their role.
And this is a morbid story, and I will be really quick. And just remember, you guys on the panel, I love you. Everybody on Twitch, I love you. Everybody listening to the podcast, I love you. Several years ago, I was with an older officer that didn't really know how to spell that good, and we were at this horrific traffic accident. And I'm talking about the, and I'm, when Dirty Dan was saying that, Bollin lightens the mood and gives us that laugh and that, that moment that we need. This, even though it's a morbid sense of humor, it goes along with that. So, in this particular accident, the guy was dismembered, and his head was in a culvert. And this older officer did not know how to spell culvert. So he tried like 3 different times as he's taking his field notes. So without anyone, it's just me and him there before other people came. He kicked this guy's head into the ditch and wrote head in ditch on his field reports. So, and like I said, I know that is really morbid. Some people are not going to find that funny. You know, I was shocked at the time because I'm 22 years old, and you know, you've got this guy in his 50s kicking somebody's head, and you know, but I look back now and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of funny. So
listen, Goose, I'm just proud of you for not going, it's good.
No. I was in shock, and I asked him.
You were mortified, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was, and I asked him why he did that, and he's like, "Well, I couldn't spell culvert, but I can spell ditch." I'm like, "Okay, sounds good to me." Justin,
Yeah.
how did you get on TikTok and get your journey going? And I do want to apologize because I thought you deleted your personal TikTok, and when Rebecca asked me your TikTok the other day, I gave her your band TikTok.
That's okay. That was free advertisement. I appreciate it. No, I met Goose. I was already podcasting, and I had just written a book, and I met a guy named Eli. And Eli's been on this show before. Unfortunately, we've lost Eli. He's moved south.
Yeah, we actually tried to get him on this one, but he wasn't able to make his schedule.
His work schedule sucks right now. But Eli's an amazing dude, and Eli's like, there's these guys I think you might enjoy meeting and talking to. So, long story short, I ended up with this phone call from this guy named Goose and this guy named Cronkite. And I've never talked to him before in my life. We talked for a little bit, and instantly I was fascinated. I started listening to the show. I got hooked on the show, and then I came on the show. And I assume almost everyone here's met Goose in person. You meet Goose in person, it's hard to not like Goose. And
thank you.
Cronkite was the same way. I loved him. He's my big teddy bear. I loved him, and I stayed kind of in contact with the show, and then. Eventually, you know, things changed with the show, and they brought in this sexy, beautiful, wonderful person, Dirty Dan, and he had the Queen with him, who's an amazing, smart, intelligent person. And well, Dan's hot.
Hold on a
I'm
second.
sorry, Dan's hot. I know you came first. I know, but
I was first.
I know,
Okay.
but. And your intellect caught my eye, but Dan's body. I mean, but that's beside the point. But I got fascinated. With the show and stuff. And you know, again, he doesn't message back, but I talk to Dan regularly on Facebook and send messages. But Goose and Bollin, I speak to every day. Now, before going on the trail, I knew Bollin prior to the trail, so that's kind of cheating. But you know, and through you guys, I've met other amazing people in podcasts, like people at Spooky Family and stuff. But you know, I still end up on this show, and I don't want to be disingenuous or sit here and be fake. I don't agree with or believe 99.9% of the things that most of you guys that host it or that are on here do, but I think it's presented really well, and I enjoy it really well. And I'm honored that, you know, known to be such a skeptic, and sometimes I can't be serious. I know that irks Rebecca, but I'm appreciative that the opportunity to get to be a part of it and to get to be included in something like this, because you know, my podcast is not at that level that I should be included for that reason, and my conversation is not as entertaining to the point that I should be included for that reason. You guys are my friends, and you let me come on, and I truly appreciate that, and I'm very thankful to have got to meet you guys.
One of the things too that I love about the show, and I'm sorry, Dirty Dan, is that
that's okay.
And I know that Dirty Dan feels this way, and I know that Rebecca feels this way. We can disagree and still be friends, and if the world had more people in it like that, it would be a lot better place.
Oh yes.
I was writing a note on that because I wanted to touch on that. And Justin, I know you and I have had conversations on podcasts and stuff before where you're like, I don't agree with a fucking word coming out of your mouth. And that's okay. And I made a video on this recently because there was another person who said something very similar to you, like, don't agree with everything that you guys talk about on the podcast, but the way that it's presented and the fact that it's open-minded, that's what we need for the conversations. We need to be able to, okay, look at your side. I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm not trying to convince you one way or another. I'm just telling you my opinion and what I believe, and take what resonates and leave the rest. If that leads you to a place where you go, huh, maybe, and research something, and you end up finding that you change your opinion based on the research that you find or the other things that you explore, or you find things that confirm what you already know. Excellent. All I'm asking is that you stay open-minded and you take that opportunity to have that conversation. And I appreciate that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't want everybody to agree with me. God, how boring would that be? And I'd have nobody to argue with.
Boring.
Yeah, Dirty Dan has his hand raised. Yes, sir. And if your question is not, or your statement is not any good, you will be kept in for recess today. So please.
That's fine. I'm used to having to sit with my head down. But the whole reason why we're all here today is because everyone has a different point of view. Everybody has their own opinion. Everybody has their own research, and everybody can research the same thing, and they'll still come out with something different because that's what is important to them at the time that they find it, and that's what their heart wants to follow. And Justin always has drawn me in because of his fact of not right off the bat agreeing with 99.9% of it, but the motherfucker does research that I don't understand how he gets half the info he gets. But one of the first conversations we had was going through Facebook Messenger, and Rebecca's losing her fucking mind of how did he find this and how did he find that, and oh my God, what's he sending next? And it's not that he's a skeptic and refuses to believe any. It's because, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Justin, this is most of the stuff that we end up talking about that you have that 99.9% to not agree with is because it's probably some of the first time you even heard or had anything explained about it like that, and you haven't had the time to do research. Because I know that's it for me as well.
A lot of it is, and a lot of it too is burnout. Like I believed at one point in time very fanatically about a lot of things that I just know. But I'll also say that, to sit and say that I don't agree or I don't believe in a lot of things is kind of disingenuous, because maybe the way in which I believed in it to begin with, especially, something extraterrestrial wise or something like that, was so different from kind of the ideals that you guys float around that I'm more open to the ideals that you guys float around than I am to what I believed and couldn't prove myself. So that's a lot of it too, is you guys present a different point of view that I've not heard. And that's how you learn. It's like Rebecca said, if you don't listen to things that other people say that differ from yourself, then there's absolutely zero chance to grow. And that's a boring existence.
Yeah. And I always revert back to my favorite quote. If you can't argue both sides, then your opinion is uneducated.
Chaotic, do you have something to add? Oh, okay. I thought you raised your hand.
He's just agreeing.
Okay.
Like rooting, yeah.
It brings us to a lady that helps us out behind the scenes and does a lot for the show on our live stream here on Twitch. She also does a lot on TikTok as far as getting the question of the week out there and always typing it in and, making sure it's done. And I am talking about the one, the only Shitmess.
Yeah. Super nervous, but I'm here.
Deep breath.
So tell us about what brought you to TikTok, how you got TikTok, how you found everyone, if your point of view has changed from where you were or the way it is now.
So TikTok was pandemic, right? Like we all hit the pandemic. We all hit our phones. We all hit social media. My kids they had it first. So I'm like, what's TikTok? And I just started scrolling. I did the whole do-it-yourselfs, and, that was a lot of my feed was the do-it-yourselfs, figure this out, how-tos, and I was like, okay. But then I'm like, I seen Becca come across my FYP, short shit show, right? And people were like, oh, she's this, she's that, look at her pupils. Here I come, because my daughter's got blue eyes. And, like, the first thing, I just was offensive. So I took defense to a stranger talking about another stranger on the internet. And I'm like, okay, who's this girl? What are we doing? Then we had, just different things happening. We had magnets, keys, bobby pins to our head, and I was stuck. I've lived a life, right? And so I was raised Baptist, Christian background, even to a boarding school for a year and a half, Christian boarding school. And I was raised religious, and I now feel like my journey is spiritual. It's more spiritual because I've lived life. I feel like I've experienced things that, which everybody does, I do, but my experiences is what has taken my point of view for my journey from religion to spirituality. And with so TikTok, then me again, super nervous, but I'm here today, and I'm here, and I found a best friend, via virtual. That's one thing in life I've struggled with. Females, women, when you can't, Hubs will attest, like we're literally the exact same, but we're completely opposite. Like we're the exact same, but opposite. And my journey with her has been over a year now, about a year and a half. Before Garage Days, and so I love the fact that the flock is not like, I'm gonna be honest, we're not dramatic. We're able to go to each other. We're able to be like, hey, yo, did I? Can I? What about? Is there something else? Am I missing? Help me out. Let me figure it. Down to personal, from stuff that's going on in life to, hey, I was with my parents and I don't know what this mushroom is. And I can go ask anybody in the flock. And I'm able to get, 10 things. Boom, boom, boom. Look at this. What about that one? And that's what I love. I love being able to find people that can give me all angles, give me all things. I can ask questions about, yes, we can talk like adults about something and work it out. And we're going to love each other right after that, because that's their opinion. This is that. And that's hard to find in people, humans, to be able to, again, agree to disagree. But I love you, cheers. Like, that's hard to find sometimes for people. And that's it in a nutshell.
And we're not just weirdos on the internet. We're also weirdos in real life, as everybody found out.
I'm the exact same on live as I am in real life. You just see more of the shit show in real life.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, on a FaceTime call, phone drops over, the dogs are going nuts, something spilled in the kitchen. Listen, I gotta go.
She is the only one that I will do a morning FaceTime with, literally still in bed with no makeup on.
We call it pillow talk.
Pillow talk. She's like, when are we scheduling our next pillow talk? I'm like, you got it. She's like, make sure you have no makeup on. I'm like, okay. She's like, because I know I'm the only one that gets that. I'm like, yes, you do.
Yeah, you don't need to do nothing crazy for me. It's just me. You don't need to do nothing.
And that's why I love you.
You did fantastic, Shitmess. Thank you. And
thank you very much.
First time being on a podcast.
Really?
Can I say something?
Today's your first time being on a podcast?
I bought a whole camera, so it wasn't pixelated, and it's going right back in the box. I've never.
You have done great, and seriously, it really means a lot to me having you on. Thank you.
It means a lot to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I say something? Damn it!
Yes, please say something.
No. Nope.
I speak on this frequently, is with the flock and with all these relationships that I've built in real life and virtually to varying degrees. It's so amazing to be able to take that step back and watch everybody's journey. Like, you guys are watching my journey, right? But since Telegram and since, TikTok and being able to bring all this together and people coming out of their box more and being more active and being more social and watching that growth, there's a few that have really stood out to me as far as the steps that have been taken and the growth that has happened. And there's also this level of like these personal growth stories that I have with all of these flockers too, because there's those personal conversations that happen outside of the flock, right? And Shitmess, I gotta say, like, watching your journey and your transformation and how far we've come and you've come and where that's going and where it leads, it is inspirational. And that's the reason that you're here. That's the reason why you got asked to be on this podcast and why I got to break your podcast cherry. And I'm very excited about that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to finish this segment out and then take a break, and we'll come back with open topics?
Well, yeah, there's still 3 people that have to
Well,
go
yeah, and I know me and you and the Queen, but that's what I was saying. Do you want to finish this out? Or
Yes,
okay.
yes. We'll finish this and then we'll take a break. Yes.
Dirty Dan, how did you get TikTok, and why have you not grown that much? Is it because you're already tall?
Hold on a minute. Before I didn't realize that was a TikTok question. I thought it was regarding the podcast.
No.
I was going to say, because I have 0 followers on TikTok. Why am I here?
I'm a grower goose, not a shower.
Oh,
that's the truth. I mean, growth is an understatement. Sorry.
I love this job. So, I kind of like, well, I guess I'll start here with Shitmess. I was baptized and brought up Roman Catholic, which let's not go down that rabbit hole in here. Needless to say, no. So don't worry, I was always bigger than the priest, so that never happened. But there are other issues with the church. And I didn't agree with it. I went through some shit in my life that I shouldn't be here today from multiple different occasions, multiple different reasons, and I still am. And that one in the far other corner is one of the main reasons why I am. Yeah, you, Queen. She taught me and helped me understand that I really do have greater purpose here. And it's okay to be spiritual, and it's okay to want to heal, and really taught me the right ways to start trying to heal and learn how to heal the right way. And taught me, it's okay, Shitmess. I don't have mascara on. I'm still crying.
I do, though.
Taught me a lot about myself that I didn't realize was even there, or that I could do. And, it opened my eyes up to be okay with me and take those hard steps to get to heal myself. And I learned that, I go to work every day and I meditate, and I learned that I do that. And that's why I'm able to do what I do the way I do it and how long I do it, because I'm at peace with myself. I'm getting to do what is natural and feels best. And I've been able to do that for such a long time now, and it just keeps going. I encourage everybody to, because it really is absolutely rewarding at the end of the day to feel. I encourage everybody to just take a moment, take a breath or two, and just tell yourself, you got this. And press on. In terms of TikTok wise, I was a Vine guy. Okay. I don't know if everybody remembers that little app called Vine, but it was a 6-second short clip little thing. And then it went away. And I was sad. But then I found TikTok because everybody from Vine was like, hey, go download TikTok. And, I've not met, but I've followed a lot of funny people and amusing things. And then I realized TikTok was longer than Vine, so I could get more truck videos. And I won't totally ruin it, but that is, you're welcome, everybody. I'll just say you're welcome, everybody, for the Queen.
I already
yeah, well, so I kept sending her truck videos, and then she said, fuck this, I'm just going to download TikTok so that, I can just watch it, and then that's probably, but
yeah.
As far, I'm on TikTok to just support and be in the background and give you guys some drinking McDrunk moments every now and then, and some cooking, barbecuing. Oh, what are you shaking your head for? No more interviews?
I'm not interviewing.
You're on one right now. So I'm just here to be here. And like Goose talked about earlier fangirling for a moment. That was my introduction to the show. As I had started listening to them fresh into the new year of, and it blew my mind because I'll get in these trends. I'm a very mathematical and scientific kind of thinker. That's what intrigues me. And I was on another alien kick and trying to divulge and divert some information from there. And it just happened to come up on Spotify that, recommended podcast, Here to Chew Bubblegum. And I started listening and got hooked. And every week I was just sitting there waiting. And then Rebecca one day goes, so some guy asked me to be on a podcast. And I'm like, okay, about what? She's like, he talks about like aliens and shit.
I was like, something with a goose and bubblegum.
And I'm like, do you mean Here to Chew Bubblegum? And she's like, I don't fucking know the name. Why are you asking me these questions? I'm like, I want to know. Tell me about it. Who's the guy that messaged you? She was like, some guy named Goose and it's
podcast.
And then, you know, I was in radio in college, and I've done some diesel podcasts with buddies over the years, and I was excited for her, and she had no fucking idea what it was. And when I found out it was Here to Chew Bubblegum, I had a fangirl moment. I was like, hey, you gotta let me say hi to him. It was like, then she realized I had been well aware of these guys and the Spooky family for quite some time. And Justin Perkins, I'd already been listening to Talk Junkie. Rumble strips. That's all I'm going to say about Justin Perkins. And, you know, and here we are on 100 episodes, a part of this family. So,
and you guys came in like at a time that, you know, I mean, I was really sad and depressed, and both of you helped me through that, and thank you. And you came in, episode 39 was like the first episode you guys were on, I think.
Was it 39 or was it 38?
It was either 38 or 39.
This is important to know.
I think it's 39.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure. I will look it up really quick.
Now I know why Dirty Dan calls me Vine. Because every time I see him in a big truck, I'm done in 6 seconds and I'll go away. I'd never seen a Vine before, Dan. I didn't know.
It was episode 39, which premiered on July 25th, 2021. So,
was it episode 39?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Was that the first time both of them together, or was it the first time?
No, that was the first official time they were in Bunker Studios, and we recorded. How many shows did we record that day? Like 3?
Yeah.
We did 3 and 2 radio shows.
Yes. And,
okay, that makes more sense because that number was real high. I was like, what? Where am I missing episodes at?
And
yeah, now a month and a half prior is when Rebecca had first come on, and then she got back again a couple weeks later, which I sat in with her on that one, and then, you know, Cronkite moved on to something bigger and better for him,
and yeah, sorry.
Now he's a paranormal trucker. Shameless plug.
Oh, you want me to go, or do you want to go? Because I'm going to try not to, but I may get on a rant, so it makes no difference to me.
Do you want me to go, and then you can go, and then we can go to break?
Sure. Yes, that sounds good.
So this, like Dirty Dan said, this journey started with downloading TikTok to watch truck videos. And I will say this, like, no matter how many truck videos you send me, they all kind of look the same. I love you, but it's like me sending you horse videos. They all kind of look the same. Okay, you can't really tell. Like, I know it's a truck and this one's different, but it's all the same.
But you got to admit, sometimes you get excited.
I do get excited when with the call rolling. I get it, yeah. So I've always been a spiritual person. I've always been into the woo-woo shit. I've always thought differently about things. And Mama Flocker and my dad can even attest to this, is, you know, because they still talk about things like, do you remember this conversation that you had when you were like 12 and you were talking about this stuff then? And I'm like, I don't remember the conversation, but it doesn't surprise me. So I've always had this different level of thinking and this different idea and concept about things. And I always thought that I was alone. I was the outcast in school. I was never popular. I didn't ever think that I would be doing this shit ever. I'm not social. I don't like, showing my vulnerability or anything like that. And since coming on to TikTok and having a whole experience of life in between that and not thinking that I was going to make it past the age of 24, here I am at 32 with living on my dream piece of property with my husband and all of our animals and our daughter and all of these things that I had dreamt about that I didn't actually think were going to happen are happening. And through this journey on TikTok, I found that I wasn't alone. I found that there were all of these other people that thought the exact same way that I did and that were also on this journey. And so in creating the flock, it brought that duality to all of it. It brought the understanding that you have to go through the shit. You have to go through these dark times. You have to do these deep dives on these dark ass rabbit holes and understand this information in order to appreciate the light. Because if you don't have these moments, if you don't have these massive turning points and these rock bottom destructions, then you're not going to understand what it truly is to have these experiences, to know what you know, and to be on that path of enlightenment and find who you truly are and shed away these layers of false ideals that have been pushed onto you. And it's been an incredible fucking journey, and being able to create what I have out of it is nothing short of amazing. And it wouldn't have happened without any of you, really, because I would just be some weird person sitting in my garage talking about aliens and having breakdowns on the floor. So like ready to sell it all and move to Canada.
Good thing I talked you out of that, huh?
Yeah, that was a moment. That was a moment. But in helping people and in speaking on this and rescuing things and animals and people and having these conversations and working through all of this, not only am I helping you guys and being able to fulfill my purpose and knowing that this is what I'm supposed to do, but it's helped me in ways that I couldn't even imagine or know were possible. And it's just been a fucking journey.
Now,
a shit show journey.
To me, I can say ditto to what she said, and that would explain how I've came. There is a lot of similarities between me and you in high school and so forth. At age 14, I started working part-time in radio and going to high school. At age 15, I started working full-time and going to high school. And up until a little bit over 3 weeks ago, I had worked a full-time job ever since I'd been 15 years old. My parents were divorced when I was really young. There were some issues there and some stuff that I really don't want to go into, but I do remember some instances that weren't so good. And that's stuff that I carried with me my whole life. When I was 12, me and my dad, he's passed away now. And we did make amends before, he passed away. There was certain things done, said. Words hurt a 12-year-old child, and you can be mentally abused by some people's words and so forth. And some of that stuff I still carry with me, but by growing up, and not having my biological dad in the picture. And my mom said this on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. I watched the TV show Chips, and I looked up to those guys because they were kind of like a father figure to me. And I knew from a young age that I wanted to be a police officer. I mean, when I was in high school doing stuff I shouldn't do with hair down to my ass, I knew I wanted to be a police officer. And I would tell people that when they would ask me, what are you going to do when you grow up? I'm going to be a police officer. And they would laugh. They'd be like, you're going to be in jail. You're going to be on the other side of the bars. And I had people tell me after I had made it and became a police officer, I had my mom and some close friends and family members basically say, I thought you would be the one in jail, not putting people in jail. So, for me, it was always different to me because You know, they talk about stuff in today's time with de-escalation tactics. And that's really big, and how you talk to people and how you interact with people. And this was stuff that I was doing in 1996, you know, and it didn't have a word for it. But I knew that I had the ability to talk to people and to help people because I'd done it all through high school. I had talked, you know, to a friend of mine. She was fine. Nothing was wrong with her, but, you know, she had a problem with bulimia, anorexic. She was anorexic. And, you know, then I had a friend that was going to kill himself once. And, you know, it's just my whole life I have been trying to help people close to me, my family, people I didn't even know. I've given my last dollar to people before because they needed it. And that's just always the type of person that I was. I always try to joke and, you know, have fun and make people laugh. And skipping ahead to the podcast, and, you know, if I got sidetracked there, I'm sorry. But when we started the podcast, Cronkite, that was with me, and he came on early because I've said before the first couple of episodes sucked. It was just me basically reading stuff. And, you know, but it's growth. And the show has grown. And Cronkite one day after the show, he's like, hey, you need to download TikTok and kind of put some videos of the show up and do it. And I'm like, well, you know, I don't really know. I'm not into all that bullshit. He's like, no, you'll like it. So I downloaded TikTok. And I had it about a week before I actually opened it up and started watching stuff. And one of the first videos that I saw was of the Short Shit Show. And she had the map in the background. And she was talking about some of the stuff on the map. And I'm like, whoa, I've never heard of that map. I'm like, we're constantly looking for things to talk about on the podcast show. Because you can talk about Roswell. I mean, I could talk about it all day long, but I'm sure people get tired of hearing about Roswell. So I started watching her videos. And I started checking out the map. And the more I watched, I'm like, wow, this is fascinating. And she knows her shit. She's got stuff marked on this map. So I watched her for probably 3 weeks before I emailed her, you know, on the TikTok app. And she messaged me back. And I'm like, and then I found out she lives, you know, in the same state I do. And that's how it all started from there. And, you know, it was just meant to be. I mean, because, you know, things happened where her and Dirty Dan came on board. And, you know, it just kept going on and on and on. One of the funniest things when they came into Bunker Studios, let me fix my mic. I'm going to have to change mic cord during the break. One of the funniest things when they came into Bunker Studios is, you know, Eli, and you talked about him before, he had scheduled a TV interview for us. And so as we were driving and I had explained it. Did I not explain it very well, Dirty Dan? That this is
You said it perfectly. You explained it perfectly, and Rebecca does what she does best and runs with it.
Okay. So we're getting, you know, close to the place, and she's like, did I need my book? I'm like, no. She's like, well, you know, an interview. So I realized that Rebecca thinks she's going for a job interview at this TV station, not an interview to talk about the podcast or her TikTok or the map. But it
started 9:30 at night the previous night in the hotel room after you told us that we were going there the next day before we left.
Yeah.
So for about 3 hours that night, I had to deal with this. We went to bed. We woke up, and she was panicked all fucking morning about this interview. You know, did she look professional enough? I'm like, it's not a fucking job interview. It's not a job interview.
But so from there, she thought she was going to a job interview. And then when I explained to her, it was, you know, they were going to interview all of us about, you know, the Here To Chew Bubblegum podcast and, you know, her TikTok. And what was it you did after that, Rebecca? You said something, and I just remember laughing hysterically at what it was that you said. And,
I believe we were at a stoplight. We were
Yes.
about 6 minutes away from the place. And I was like, well, then when are we gonna, like, if this is, so I didn't think it was a job interview. I thought that it was like an interview to see if they wanted us to be on the podcast. Like, I thought it was like the pre-podcast interview,
Right.
whatever.
So it's not an interview.
And then you're like, well, no, it's going to be live, and then it's going to be on the radio. And, you know, you're like, you're not allowed to swear, and you kind of got to like stay away from politics, and you're not allowed to talk about COVID. I'm like, the fuck? Like, I freaked out in your front seat. Didn't have any of my stuff with me. Like, I had a completely different understanding of what we were going to do. So,
But I mean, you know, and coming up when the documentary's out, you will see a clip from that TV interview, and what an amazing job that she did. You know, not only me, you know, I have grew over the last 10 years as a person. I'm a much better person today than I was 10 years ago. To start a show.
I think we were all assholes 10 years ago.
I was a complete piece of shit 10 years ago. What the fuck are you talking about?
But to start, you know, the Here to Chew Bubblegum show at episode 1, and I remember, you know, I was by myself. I was just reading a bunch of stuff about, you know, UFOs from Kentucky and, you know, spotted in cases. And to be at episode 100 and to look back and, you know, we still talk about all that stuff, but we talk about real stuff. You know, the show has grown, and I love that, and I'm proud of that. And I will say this before I wrap it up, because I know I rambled, and I apologize. I did get a little heat for a comment that I made last week towards the end of the show when I said that you should not trust police officers. Some of my cop buddies, a few of them that listen to the show, they got a little butthurt over that, but I explained what I meant. You know, and what I meant was, you know, and I'm going to say this again. If your gut is telling you something is not right and you need to record that. You need to do that. I have had, since I mentioned on the show, I am going to be doing some TikTok videos, and I will be doing this. I've had a bunch of police videos, interactions sent to me that I will dissect and give you, you know, what I think on it.
Including for me.
Yes. You know, but just, I mean, you know, if you're going to get butthurt because I say don't trust cops, you know, then you're just going to get.
We shouldn't trust then.
I am a retired cop, so you know, and I think that you, Dirty Dan, Chaotic, Heather, Justin, Bollin, everybody that knows me and have met me in person knows that I'm not the stereotypical. You know, I mean, I have looked for ways to get out of having to take somebody to jail before. I mean, it's cost me extra work to be able to work something out for somebody versus, you know, 30 minutes taking them to jail, booking them in, and I would be done with it and I would be home. You know, I'm talking about 2 hours of, you know, not getting paid, trying to really, truly help this person versus locking them up when that's not going to solve a damn thing. You know, that's what type of cop that I was. So
I think I'm just going to tell a real funny story and then we can go to break. I think the funniest thing was because you came for, you and Bollin came for our daughter's birthday party.
Yes.
Right. We had family and everything else. And I think my dad and my brother were there. And I think the funniest thing was my brother. So my brother and I are 8 years apart, right? And everybody knows that I'm a stoner and I'm a pothead. And Goose knew this well before he ever asked me to be on his fucking podcast because he watched my TikToks, all right? And what I think is hilarious is my brother was like, he like smacks me in the arm. He's like, you didn't tell me that Goose is a cop or was a cop. And I'm like, what does it matter? He goes, Jesus Christ, you're smoking. And I'm like, last I checked, Goose is fully aware of who I am, okay, and what I'm about. And I was like, also, we're on my property, and he's not in uniform, so we're good. Like, we're all set. Like, Goose is fully aware of what happens here. I was like, it's not like I'm doing hardcore drugs. I'm just smoking a little bit of green stuff, right? And Thomas was like, I just can't believe that you're like, it was a whole conversation. Like,
right.
he was nervous for me, and I'm like, it's good. We're okay. We're good. And
before we go to break, we have some comments that are coming in about what I just said. thank you for your support. That really means a lot to me. Thank you very much. But you know, we're going to take a. I'm starting to get a little emotional. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with open discussion. Please don't go away.
I just want to say one thing quick.
Yes.
I feel like I'm the luckiest out of this group because I her by my side that I've gotten to experience and enjoy and support. But then I also had Here To Chew Bubblegum that she had no idea about as my side chick. And like, both my worlds just came together and I can't get away no matter what. And it's just been fantastic.
Thank you. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in how many minutes, Rebecca?
Let's do a 10-minute break.
We're going to do a 10-minute break. If you're listening to the podcast, it's going to be about that long because we have a surprise. Elliott's articles, brand new, coming up that you can hear in just a few moments. You're listening to Here To Chew Bubblegum.
That was so angelic.
I was a highwayman. Along the coach roads I did ride, sword and pistol by my side. Many young maiden lost her balls to my trade. Many a soldier shed his lifeblood on my blade. The bastards hung me up in the spring of 25, but I'm still alive.
Hello, I'm Justin.
And I'm Bruce.
And we're Provice. Our new song,
Still Alive,
will be streaming October 3rd.
On iTunes, Spotify, YouTube Music, wherever you go to find music, give us a listen.
Check it out.
I felt it all inside. You left me dead but still alive. Researching the inner workings of the net to bring you stories of the strange and unusual. It's Elliott's articles on Here To Chew Bubblegum. Take it away, Elliott.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening, wherever you're listening. This is Elliott with Elliott's Articles here on Here To Chew Bubblegum. Yeah, we've been away for a while, but we're back. We're back, baby. And I brought my family with me. This is Gertie.
Hello.
And Beagle.
Don't get lost in the sauce. I mean,
wrong one there, biggin. But we are the Spooky Family Podcast, and you are listening to Here To Chew Bubblegum. This is a special edition for the 100th episode of Elliott's Articles. Gertie, what are we talking about?
100th episode.
It is. It's not my 100th episode. It's the Here To Chew Bubblegum's 100th episode.
I know.
Didn't we do one of these like last week?
No, we didn't.
Or was that like 2 years ago?
It was. I think it was 2 years ago.
Oh,
we promised them. We promised a lot of these, but this is the first time we're delivering.
Yeah, but that's how we promise things.
That's how we stay in the mindset of the people.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So,
what are we talking about today, Gert?
The Flatwoods Monster.
The Flatwoods Monster.
The monster, the cryptid, the
alien,
possible
machine,
alien, possible robot,
the alien. Just a weird humanoid cyborg extraterrestrial. We don't know.
It's the Justin Perkins of cryptids.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
I'm hoping this is a reputable website. It's braxtonwv.org.
This is actually the
it's wiki.
city.
It's wiki.
This is the city that this monster was first seen in.
Yeah.
I have been to the museum that is in Braxton, West Virginia, so it's a pretty cool place.
Okay. It was almost fully dark on the evening of September 12th, 1952. Edward May, Freddie May, Neil Nunley, and Tommy Hire, all young residents of the town of Flatwoods, were playing on the lawn of the Flatwoods Elementary School. Suddenly, a bright light streaked across the sky overhead and appeared to crash into a hillside on G. Bailey Fisher's farm. The boys ran to see what it was that they saw in the sky. The Mays' home was on their way, so they stopped to tell their mother, Kathleen May, what they had seen. Kathleen called on National Guardsman Eugene Lemon and the family dog, Richie, to accompany her and the boys to the crash site. Upon reaching the site of the crash, the group saw a pulsing red light. Lemon shined his flashlight up the hill, and the group witnessed a terrifying sight. A 10-foot-tall creature with a head shaped like a spade and what appeared to be a dark metal dress. The creature's hands were twisted and clawed, and what seemed to be its eyes glowed an eerie orange color. It appeared to levitate off the ground. A strange, sickening mist hung in the air. The creature hissed and glided quickly toward the witnesses. The group then turned and fled in terror.
A couple things.
Yes.
10-foot tall,
yes.
Claws,
yes.
Huge head, shaped like a spade, and we're talking about the card symbol. You know, you got spades, diamonds, all that stuff, shaped like a spade. Very strange mist that hung in the air.
Mm-hmm. Orange eyes.
Orange eyes. Not your everyday thing that you see out in the woods. I mean, unless you live in Appalachia. But you know what I'm saying.
Some of the members of the group suffered from throat irritation, vomiting, and nausea, which persisted for days. These symptoms were passed off as side effects of hysteria, but it is worth noting that these are also telltale signs of exposure to mustard gas. May and Lemon reported the incident to local authorities, who searched the area that night and claimed to find nothing. Another sighting of a creature similar in description to the Flatwoods Monster was reported by Mrs. Audra Harper not long before the infamous sighting on Fisher's farm. Harper claims to have seen the monster while walking through the woods near her home, near the town of Heaters. Heaters is about 5 miles north of Flatwoods. Harper and her friend were walking to a nearby store. The road leading out of their property was implacable.
I
don't know. And rutted. Okay. So they were taking a shortcut through the forest instead of walking the road, which would have increased their trip significantly. About a half mile into their trip, they noticed a ball of fire on one of the hills they were passing. Jesus. Harper dismissed it, assumed that one of her neighbors was fox chasing. When she glanced back, she saw something unbelievable. The fire had vanished, and in its place stood the tall, dark silhouette of a man-shaped figure. Terrified.
A man?
Terrified, Harper and her friend ran.
A shape.
Escaping among the rocks and boulders strewn around the hillside. The day after the September 12th incident in Flatwoods, another strange sighting occurred near Strange Creek. Oh, that's apropos. About 20 miles south of Flatwoods. Reportedly, George and Edith Santowski and their 18-month-old son were driving through the rural area between Clay and Braxton County on Route 4 when their car suddenly died. Mr. Santowski attempted to restart the car to no avail. It was nighttime and the road was deserted. While the Stanowskis were trying to decide what to do, a foul, sulphurous smell filled the air, and their baby began to cry. A strange, bright light filled the darkness, and the couple witnessed a 10-foot-tall creature hovering in front of their car. The description is similar to that of the original sighting, except the monster was not wearing what is presumed to be its spade-shaped hood. Instead, its head was reportedly reptilian and bony. The creature dragged its lizard-like hand across the hood of the car before drifting away into the woods. No thanks. As soon as the monster was out of sight, the car restarted and the couple sped away. Stanowski would later give his account for Mail magazine in 1955. That sounds awful.
And here's the thing. So, Beagle, feel free to jump in. So, it sounds to me like the original sighting. It sounds to me, personally,
Okay.
like this was a crashed UFO. And the thing that they saw was probably whatever was inside the UFO. And that the spade helmet and the metal dress and all that stuff was probably whatever uniform it was wearing.
Okay.
So there have
And then
been
it's
no
like-
other sights of the Flatwoods Monster since 1952. Is that correct? Or 1955? Nope, 1952.
52, yeah.
1952. But I will tell you this. It is one of the most, and like when you see it, you'll know exactly which monster we're talking about. It's very visual. It's a very like unique looking creature. And I just thought it was neat. A lot of stuff is happening in West Virginia. Yeah, what's
going on there? What's going on in this area?
I just, I've got a little, there's some, here on Wiki, there's some conventional explanations for it.
Okay. Now, I can't wait.
These are kind of funny.
Okay.
Let's see if you all, okay, the first one I'll swing that way a little bit. After investigating the case in 2000, Joe Nikola of the Committee of Skeptical Inquiry concluded that the bright light in the sky reported by the witnesses on September 12th was most likely a meteor, that the pulsating red light was likely an aircraft, navigation, or hazard beacon, and that the creature described by witnesses closely resembled an owl. Nikola suggests that the witnesses' perceptions were disordered by their heightened state of anxiety.
Okay.
Nichols' conclusions are shared by a number of other investigators, including those of the Air Force. Why would you bring the Air Force in?
I always call Air Force when I see an owl outside.
Who?
It's an owl. Who? The Air Force.
Who?
Air Force.
Who?
Air
All
Force.
right.
Okay.
This joke is over.
Moving on.
But, I mean, that's just, okay. I don't know.
The Mothman was also supposed to be an owl. I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah, it was or crane.
If so, then we really need to look at some of these animals inside of West Virginia and why are they so, mutated. Here's another one. The same guy said, Nickel concluded that the shape, movement, and sounds reported by witnesses were also consistent with the silhouette, flight pattern, and call of a startled barn owl perched on a tree limb, leading researchers to conclude that the foliage beneath the owl may have created the illusion of the lower portions of the creature, described as being a pleated green skirt. Researchers also concluded that the witnesses' inability to agree on whether the creature had arms, combined with May's report of it having small claw-like hands which extended in front of it, also matched the description of a barn owl with its talons gripping a tree branch.
What kind of owl do you see walking around with his arms stretched out in front of it?
I mean, I'm not trying to profile, but these are people that live there. It's not like they were transplants. They were like, I don't know what that bird is.
I've never seen an owl in my life.
This is also coming from a guy who investigated it in 2000.
Yeah, I mean,
was that literally
48 years
almost
after it happened?
Yeah, okay, almost 50 years later, and that's what he comes up with. I
want to know too why I was reading from the city's actual website, and I'm reading it, and they're like, which is similar to the effects of mustard gas. If you come back for our Oktoberfest, you can also experience the effects of mustard gas. What are they talking about?
The funny part
What's
about
going
that
on
is,
there?
The funny part about that is, even when you go and look at the Mothman was near those radiation or the toxic waste bunkers. Yeah. So, and something the Beagle just said kind of makes me, it kind of makes sense. What is happening if this is an animal? Let's forget the whole story about the reptile dragging its claw along
alien
the hood
reptile.
Of the car. Yeah. If this is an animal, what is happening to those animals? That you've got the air of mustard gas, you've got bunkers full of toxic waste,
stench of death.
Yeah,
glowing eyes in the dark.
Well, I mean, and a lot of animals do have that, glowing eyes in the dark. But this wasn't in the dark when they saw these. You know, this was during the
That's
day.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's just weird.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
but why
it's
mustard
just,
gas?
I'm, you know, I've looked up a picture just now of a barn owl.
How's it look? Is it scary?
No.
Would you?
It looks like an owl, right? Just an owl.
Coming from a guy that you know, if any of the Here to Chew Bubblegum listeners do listen to us, you know, I do have a run-in with an owl that was pretty creepy in my life.
Right.
But I didn't misidentify it as some sort of robot, alien monster inside of the woods. I was like, that's an owl.
Like the other morning, I walked out on my porch and there was a squirrel sitting on the porch. No, in no time did I tell anybody I was attacked by a 19-foot lizard person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I know what a squirrel is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I don't know that one right there. The conventional explanations, as it's referred to, seem kind of they're almost like a slap in the face.
They are. And
it's like these people are not smart, and this is what it is.
Is there like a government chemical facility close to there? Look it up, Elliott. I don't know. I'm like, well, because they're like, it could be mustard gas. I mean, what are they? Why? What are they doing this?
We appreciate you all listening.
We consulted the Air Force.
Yes, the Air Force said it was an owl.
Mustard gas.
We appreciate you all listening to us. We appreciate Goose, Dirty Dan, and Rebecca for letting us come on the 100th episode of Here to Chew Bubblegum. If you ever want to hear us again, we have our own podcast called the Spooky Family Podcast. Come along for the ride. We like to talk about stuff. We like to have fun with it. We like to joke around. We like to goof off. But we do like to talk. Congratulations to Here to Chew Bubblegum on reaching 100 episodes, 100 great episodes.
Yes.
We've been along for the ride for a long time. You know, we were here when the Paranormal Trucker was part of it. We've been here when he was Cronkite. We've been through Dirty Dan and Rebecca, and we love, listening to them. And we cannot wait for 100 more episodes of Here to Chew Bubblegum. So, once again, thanks, guys. Yes. We are out. Make sure you listen to us. And, it's the spooky season. So, happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Bye.
Hello, I'm Justin.
And I'm Bruce.
And we're Provice. Our new song,
Still Alive,
will be streaming October 3rd.
On iTunes, Spotify, YouTube Music, wherever you go to find music. Give us a listen.
Check it out.
I felt it all inside. You left me dead but still alive.
We're back.
We're back.
I'm in the
There's
middle.
a whole ass conversation going on in the chat. I'm not even going to scroll.
I followed it some. Bollin's telling us just a tragic story has a happy ending, correct?
Yeah.
You want to share that with everybody else?
The little Bobby Ray Stevenson Dave story?
Yes.
Sure. So it's been a journey in itself, let's say. Little Bobby Ray Stevenson Dave applied last year for taint replacement surgery, and he was finally approved for it. 2 weeks ago, he went in for surgery, and me and Sally Jean Sue, we loaded up and we went to the waiting room to wait on him to get out. Doctor came out and said, about 2 hours in, doctor came out and said, we've took and we've used just as much of his elbow and foreskin that we can, but they still ain't enough to make the taint. And I said, well, Doc, what can we do? Is there anything we can do? I said, I've got a little bit of a foreskin left. I said, doctor said, no. Said, there's special procedure happening in Zimbabwe right now, where sometimes we take the labia. Now, for everybody out there, labia is medical jargon for pussy lip. So I said, I don't know about that. And Sally Jean jumped up and said, no, I'll do it. So, guys, long story short, little Bobby Ray Stevenson, he's out of surgery now. He's got his new taint, and he's recovering real nicely. And Sally Jean, she no longer has a left pussy lip. But labia, yeah.
Don't that look weird?
Well, I thought that too, but the doctors rigged up something for her to where she had enough of a right one, and she just pulls it across and covers the whole thing with the right one.
Listen, I've been saying this for months now. Nothing better. Tain't nothing better.
It's called a curtain call, Dan. It's called a curtain call.
Everything is on the up and up.
Comb over.
I mean, it's
Purple Princess said she could do a comb over.
Comb over, yeah. That would probably work.
Is that too much of a stretch to say, though?
This is why I love the flock. Firewater's laughing. So segment 2, we'll have open discussion. Alan, we'll let you pick something, and you can talk about it. We'll discuss it, and
no pressure.
I actually have a question for Chaotic.
Okay,
what's up? What you got?
What inspired you to get into graffiti?
Graffiti. It was actually kind of pushed on me because I moved around a lot as a kid, so I was the new kid a lot. And so I would always write my name as a way to, like, anxiety, just kind of write my name and mess with letters. And then I ended up moving to Austin, Texas. And one of the teachers caught me. One of the teachers caught me drawing my name and actually sent me to the principal's office and said, "We don't allow graffiti here." And that's the first time I ever fucking heard of it. So I got suspended for 2 days, and in that 2 days, I started becoming a graffiti artist.
Yeah. So for everyone who didn't see that, hold it up one more time, Rebecca.
Yeah, he did. So I had a guest book at Flockfest, and he drew this in it for me.
And like I've lived in some not so nice areas and some very urban areas, and I see all the trains all the time, or bridges and underpasses and whatnot. And I appreciate good. I do like art. I appreciate art. And there's graffiti, and then there's the dumb gang jargon stuff that normally just unknown can't ever fucking read it. But to me, graffiti is just a type of art, and Alan or Chaotic, whatever, has some of the best. I just sit there across the way in Flockfest under the barn, just like a creep and stare at him. Thankfully, he never caught me. Just watching him work. Just watching him work. I just sit there and stare because it's honestly something really, really cool to watch unfold and happen, and then see I walked away when he was starting to really finish it because I wanted to be surprised, and I figured I was going to get caught at that point and then have some explaining to do. So I went back to my meat hut, and when Rebecca showed me the final product, I was.
Let's just say he's coming to do the side of the short shit show She Shack for me, and he's doing Dirty Dan's barbecue tent. And then I had to get a whole breakdown on. I was like, well, yeah, we'll just like stop at fucking Home Depot.
Yeah, she had no idea about any of that.
We'll get some spray paint. He's like, no, bitch, you gotta order, like, you gotta pick out your colors. Like, there's a special. I was like, oh, I had no idea. I thought we was just gonna go get some spray paint. That's how I made the creepy Flockfest sign that looked like it was luring you to a non-safe location.
And there's 198 different tips that they'll plop into a can.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah. Graffiti was a huge part of my life, and I actually I did it up until I turned 28, and I actually came home from work one day to my apartment being raided, and they took my sketchbooks, they took my photos, they took my hard drive on my computer, and I ended up getting like 37 counts of criminal mischief. because they figured out what my name was. Somebody ratted on me and told them what my name was, and they just kind of walked around town and counted them up. So
imagine they did that type of roundup for traffickers and predators.
You know, yeah. It's amazing, right? They caught me.
They caught you.
Well, if you look at some of the stuff today, they want to. The tip matters.
Just for a minute.
Tip. Yeah.
Just for a minute, just to see how it feels.
You know, they want to go after people that, in cases they can open and shut fast, because that makes them look good. Like, hey, look, we're out doing something. You know, something like that is, you know, they should be focusing on the bigger picture, like Patriotmama said. But instead, they're going after stuff that they can open and close fast to make themselves look good.
It's their numbers. Yep.
And making that situation where people feel they have to record.
Well, and then it's about funding the system too, right? It's about funding the system because that's one of the reasons why all this shit is it, because we do the Flocker Flicks on Fridays, right? And they propagate this shit. They make this shit look like this is so much fun, and that you need to do this in order to fit in with society, or like this is cool. Jesus Christ, we watched Pulp Fiction the other night. Holy
oh my gosh.
Everything. Yeah, like we did not need the up close heroin scene. Like we didn't need it. And they fantasize and romanticize these things to fund the fucking criminal. Do you really think like all of these murder mystery shows would exist, right? If they weren't trying to give these people ideas of trying to kill others with getting away with it? No, it's because they need to fund their fucking system. So these people are going to try this stuff. They're going to get caught, right? And then they're going to have a reason because they're all privatized prisons.
Now, it's funny you mentioned the murder mystery thing, because I don't know if anybody else here knows who the comedian Andrew Scholes is, but he's out of New York. And I watched this special the other day, and I haven't watched the Ted Bundy thing, but I think it's fantastic that his biggest hang-up on it is that he killed 50 women driving a tan Volkswagen Beetle with the pickup line, "Hey, can you help me fix my car?" He picked the worst fucking car of all time. And as he says, some of you guys are driving Teslas, the doors open automatically, you get a bitch's legs too. Like, what the fuck? That's what we're focusing on.
Well, he actually also, I mean, here's a nerd fact for you. He had his entire passenger seat, he had took it out himself so it would give him more room to like throw people in there.
Well, yeah, because if anybody knows what a Volkswagen Beetle is, I'm not fitting in it. So imagine two somewhat normal sized people. No.
We both fit on that black couch, so I mean.
Step bro, I'm stuck.
You know what I just watched the other night? The Marilyn Monroe movie.
Can I just pause everyone really quick, just because I know that I see that you have to go, and can we do our Tic Tacker of the week?
Yes, that's fine. Our Tic Tacker of the week is going to be Firewater this week. He is in the state of Florida, and he has lived through the hurricane. Fortunately, he did not have a huge mess, but his neighbors and so forth, people in his state did. So, send them positive love, peace, and energy. Our Tic Tacker of the week is Firewater.
But he did let me know he's living it up Dirty Dan style, just grilling and smoking cigars, having a good time while cleanup goes on.
There it is.
So you were talking about the Marilyn Monroe movie. I've got into and I actually stopped it when it was at the threesome scene, and so I don't know how far that's into it.
I want to say probably the middle.
Okay.
I've heard her story. We've all heard the story, but they've glamorized her so much. To watch that movie and see what she really went through as far as the, I guess her mental state, and what my heart broke. It took me to a whole other level with her story from her childhood with her mom and what she went. My goodness, it was a whole eye opener. Learning about that. I recommend people watch it that like her and stuff like that, or don't know the full story. But they did a really good job on that movie. That I will say, because wow, what she went through. But it makes a lot of sense of why she's gone, and my heart broke for her watching that. It was pretty eye-opening.
And that movie is on Netflix, and the name of it is Blonde. Is the name of it?
Yes.
Like I said, I've got I guess halfway through it. So I was trying to watch it by myself. I couldn't watch it, with kids running around, and so that's why.
Yeah, they definitely don't have kids around.
Yeah,
there were some scenes.
Yeah, but like she's talking about with her mom, that's at the first, and that was truly heartbreaking. I mean, it really was.
But it also shows you like this celebrity world, this with these actors and stars, what they are forced to go through. It's disgusting.
Well, I think, and with somebody like her, I think history judges those people pretty harshly sometimes without that prior knowledge, without that insight to, I don't think every bad person's born a bad person, and not to say that she's a bad person, but I think people will they'll take fire for things that they do or say, and without the insight of what made them who and what they are, it's kind of, I don't remember the quote, but it's easier to judge than it's hard to think. So most people judge or whatever it is. Knowing that information, it's uncomfortable. Like, you don't want to know that. Like, it's not something you want to see someone experience. And it doesn't justify everything that somebody does, but to see that insight kind of gives you a glimpse into, okay, that they had everybody has a struggle, and when you see somebody struggle, it's a little easier to process their place in life and where they got to.
Because the struggle is always part of the story.
Yeah.
Huh. Look at Drew Barrymore and Katy Perry. They didn't really have a choice. They got born right into what they were doing. Drew Barrymore was on film, smoking cigarettes at 6, 7 years old?
That is a weird thing.
Crazy.
That child actor thing is a weird thing. Like, and I understand the child maybe wanting to do it, just the ideal of being famous. I could see that. My son would jump at that, but then, there's a lot of greed there on the parents' part to go, okay, I can capitalize off this. But it's like I said, I don't think the parents the kids don't have the foresight to understand the future implications of that stuff, but the parents do, and a lot of times it's just greed, and they're putting these kids in situations that life experience is life experience, and it may be a movie and may be fake, but still, like, there's things being okay and shown as okay to these kids that are not.
Right. I mean, look at the whole Shia LaBeouf saga. He got made to make a somewhat of a autobiography about his life growing up and his such extremely abusive father and whatnot. His dad never fucking hit the kid, and he had to come out and say that, and how uncomfortable and the demons he's been dealing with from basically being coerced into saying that, even as a young adult, just to keep the Hollywood box office rolling. And he's got other problems or whatever, but everybody does. And that situation should have never been a thing. It shouldn't have had to have come to that, to where, saying, grew up just a single mom in a trailer because his dad was a piece of shit and beat him and walked out, and he'd randomly come back and beat him some more and walk out. No, none of that ever happened. His dad was in his life his entire time. His dad was the one who would take him, like when they did Even Stevens. His dad was always there. But he had to have a bad guy in the story for the Hollywood fame.
Yeah, you're talking about Hollywood a little bit there. We had the rapper Coolio passed away a few days ago, and I had something. I had somebody send me a link to a interview he did on a YouTube show. It was a hip hop podcast, uncensored, and he did this interview back in April. And he was basically talking about the what goes on behind the scenes in Hollywood with the sex cults and all that, and the way that they, do children and so forth. I skipped through the video. I didn't watch it. It was about 15 minutes or less than 15 minutes. I didn't watch all of it, but he basically said that he didn't have anybody directly come up and offer him to take part and stuff like that. They did in a roundabout way. He turned them down. He didn't go into detail, but he was saying it was some sick stuff. Now, after he turned them down, and this was a few years, maybe a year after the Gangster's Paradise hit, he got put in jail for some trumped up charges. And he thinks that he was set up because he turned down Hollywood. After this interview got out, and this was this past April, he had been, he was in a process, I think, of either writing a book or doing some other interviews, and then he passed away. So
suddenly and unexpectedly.
Murder, and we all know.
In the bathroom via heart attack, right? Like in a bathroom,
yeah,
via heart attack.
Have they actually said that it was a heart attack?
The initial report was cardiac arrest.
Okay.
It's funny, the same thing happened to DMX. Heart attack.
Yes.
I don't know where.
From an overdose.
And a lot of growling.
I think Ship did a whole video on that of like all the people that were in their bathroom.
Now, if you're
All started with Elvis.
If you're into government conspiracies and you can, follow this down a rabbit hole and chaotic, this may be something if you've not heard about it. There has been rumors over the years that Nikola Tesla made a heart attack gun. That was one of the things that the FBI confiscated in his trunks, and that I guess they broke it down to research to find out how it was made, and that the government does have control of such a weapon. Now, take it or leave it. I don't necessarily believe that it's true. But I will say that Nikola Tesla was a brilliant man, and if there was such a thing that exists as a heart attack gun, I think he could have been the one that made it.
So if they're using the heart attack guns in the bathrooms, is it always the bathroom because there's never any cameras in there? There's no recording device. Well, there shouldn't be anyway. Like, it's not like, like in the stores, like they have like cameras, right? So they can like see shoplifters and shit like that and like keep a track of everything. But in the bathrooms, there's no cameras.
Well, in a lot of celebrities, they're going to have cameras every place, right? Like in their living rooms or outside, like for security. But a celebrity or famous or rich or people, whatever your story is, cameras are not normally in your bathroom. Personally, at home.
Yeah.
Oh, Chuck Berry, he had bathroom cameras.
Did he really?
I've never heard that story.
No, I've never heard that.
Chuck Berry had bathroom cameras.
Got you.
So I can take it a step further with the heart attack gun. I don't know if you saw my video on the nanoparticles that they're using, the nanotechnology.
Yes, I did.
Well, they're putting that in every vaccination. It has the possibility to be in any shot you could possibly take, to the point where they're even making it so you can inhale it. So what it is basically a metal particle that helps push medicine to certain parts of the body. It can help go to nerves and cure pain. So what stops them from sending a frequency through that hits those nanoparticles? It just makes it look like a heart attack. There's a chance a lot of us have it in us right now.
I'd never thought about that. I had never thought about what Shitmess said. I was always in the bathroom, and Rebecca, no cameras there. I just find it odd that he did that interview back in April and was planning to do other interviews and other avenues to tell, basically to go into more detail, but then yet he's passed away. So.
Yeah, exactly. Text a heart attack.
Anything's possible. I don't put anything, if you're freaking smart enough, I don't put anything past anybody. If there's a will, there's a way. If there's smarts, you'll figure it out.
Oh, they're already doing it to where you can give yourself medication with a smartphone. There's multiple articles on it, so they're already doing it. They're to the point where they're saying that they can put these particles so much in your body that it'll brush your teeth for you on command. Like, that's how much it can take over your body.
I'm all set. I'm good. Like, I'm good with, like, I don't need no metal fucking nano things running around my body. I'm good with my worms. We're not doing any of that shit either. Like, I'm all set. I'm good. Like,
That's the scary part. They're saying they can shoot this into the air, and so you can breathe in these particles, and you wouldn't.
Well, I'm done breathing now, Alan. Thanks for making that real.
Well, yeah, the allergies suddenly go away.
Then I'll be nervous. It's just
right. So until then, don't worry about it.
Okay. Can I bring this back around? Because I made a note on something.
Yeah.
We were talking about the movie, right? And then with Marilyn Monroe, and was it Marilyn Monroe?
Yes.
Okay. And with Shia LaBeouf and Drew Barrymore with the greed, right? And the parents pushing this. And I see this split happening today too, right? Because you have all of these parents that are allowing their children to make these drastic decisions with their life, like identify as a fucking cat in their school and go to the bathroom in a fucking litter box, right? And then also make these other decisions about, consent and everything like that. Like it covers the full spectrum of it. And I also see the other side of it too, especially in the flock and on this podcast. Now, we're the ones that are breaking these cycles. We're the ones that are breaking these generational curses and traumas and doing things differently. And I feel like that need for fame, especially with children, like you're not seeing that I want to be famous anymore because TikTok has come into the picture now and podcasts and creators, and the playing field has been leveled. Right? Like it's no longer, you have to go to Hollywood or Nashville to get famous or be something like that. So it's allowing these kids and these adolescents to actually have the opportunity to follow these authentic and genuine people versus just following the fame and the popularity. And that I feel is really important.
Yeah. And I see all the time on my Facebook, ads for, hey, we're doing casting calls for this project, just schedule a Zoom meeting now. And it had dawned on me before, what if, and there's a lot of fake people out there, what if you've got some perv that, they may work for a legitimate casting company, but they're using those videos or selling those videos or, they're using them as like, hey, Justin, you live over in Germany. You want a 10-year-old boy with black hair? Here you go. I'm sending you these video clips of this, Just be really careful about what you post on the internet, who you Zoom call with, anything. Just be really careful,
I worked with a guy, and he's quite a bit older than me. His daughter's younger than me. She's probably, I would just assume, in mid-30s. Mid-2000s, she was in like Panama Beach, wherever it was, and I if you've ever heard of the Girls Gone Wild thing,
yeah,
somebody
the Redneck Riviera,
yeah, somebody come up to her with one, and fortunately for her, she was smart enough to no, this is not something that I want to do, not something I want to be involved with. But her friends weren't that smart, and footage of them got out, and they were asked to do things, but not just that. One, it was not even associated with this company. Not like this company is some amazing company that should be, applauded. Girls Go Wild is as trashy as anything else, but they weren't even associated with that, and they ended up on every site, not just that site. But one of the girls ended up calling their father, and luckily for them, their father was convincing enough, I guess, with local authorities, because they were at a point to where they were not being allowed to leave. They had made it into this hotel room, and they had done these things willingly, and now they weren't being able to leave. And she didn't know who to contact. She didn't know what to do. And so under the guise of, hey, I've got some more friends I'm going to call, she contacted a father, and I guess the father, knew where she was, and she gave him the address and stuff like that, and got her out of what, I don't know, maybe nothing would have happened. Maybe eventually they would have been let go, but, that's the old school version of it, now to get that footage, or, you may not be in that physical present danger to be there, but to get that footage and to reach out remotely is 10 times easier than it was at that time. So now they can do it from your living room, and once that's there, especially you take a 16-year-old kid, because that was the situation. One of these was a 16-year-old kid lying about being 18, this 16-year-old kid's not making a good life decision, but it's also a 16-year-old kid, and that's out there forever. And like you said, Roman Polanski's still roaming free. Like, there's a lot of people out there that have bad motives, and you're putting this stuff out there, and now it's 10 times easier to get than it was.
I totally agree with you. And I even have, I've had, like I said, some people earlier sending me videos and stuff. I've had people, reach out and they're like, hey, why don't you put something together to share tips on how to be safe? Like, if, you're a female and you're in a parking lot and it's not well lit. And that's a really good idea. And I may do that. One thing I will say off that is, if no matter who you are, if you're a man, woman, teenager, and if you're in a parking lot that is not well lit, and if somebody pulls up to you and they pull a gun on you and tell you to get in, do not, for the love of God, get in that car. Do not yell, scream, fight, run away, do whatever you have to do. Because if you do whatever you have to do, you have a 50-50 chance. If you get in that automobile, you have a less than a 50% chance of survival. So do not get into that car.
And same thing for other random people in that same lot. Like, I've been the boyfriend to a lot of different people, both guys and girls. So I don't care. If someone feels unsafe and they ask you to, like, hey, play along, fucking play along. Don't think twice. Don't question it. Just do what they ask. Like, they're not holding a gun to you and, they look white as Casper and are scared. Fucking be there for them. It doesn't take any extra effort to just, okay, that's it. Just because you don't know what you're going to save them from. You don't know what kind of peace you're going to bring them. And, you don't want their life to ultimately get cut short for a reason because you said, yeah, no, that's weird. I'm not doing it. Just fucking say, okay, and fucking grab their hand and walk.
Patriotmama, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I had mentioned, I saw one of my Dark to Light members, Mikey, is in the comments, and he did mention that Alfred Kinsey, a lot of what we're seeing today, it all goes back to him. If you go and look into Alfred Kinsey, which I've done a lot of research on, he's from 1948, and the mentality that he's like the godfather of the sex education. Like, a lot of this stuff, his hands is in everything. Hugh Hefner, like all of this, goes back to him. It goes back to him, and it's some sick stuff if you do that rabbit hole. And recently, Alfred Kinsey came back up in our podcast recently because they constructed a bronze statue of him outside of the Kinsey Institute, and I wanted to vomit what I know about him, and a lot of people don't know about him, and they really need to know. Hugh Hefner actually was a virgin until he met Alfred Kinsey. And a lot of, the pornographic stuff that's become legalized is because of Alfred Kinsey meeting Hugh Hefner. There's so much in that rabbit hole. And even when I had gone and met Conservative Ant in person, and I had the discussion with him that he was taking on the topic of children on his platform, and I was so happy that somebody with that type of following was brave enough to do that. I told him, I said, I have some research that you need to know about. I'm not sure you know. And I gave him everything. And he was blown away. He was like, oh my God. And he's like, I'm not going to stop. And I said, buckle up, because if you thought that you were going to get targeted prior to this, now that you've taken this topic on, and we talk all the time. We're very good friends off the app, and I cannot believe how attacked he is for trying to stand up for kids. He's like, it doesn't make sense. I said, actually, it does make sense. It is so deep out in this world with what's going on and who's involved. They want to shut us up big time. And that's the biggest question. Why would they shut down creators that are trying to protect children? Why?
It's that sense of being threatened, and I don't mean any offense to Dan, but there's not an organization in this world that I despise more than the Catholic Church. But that started well.
I'm
before
with you.
them.
I am with you.
Yeah, I mean that's the entirety of their history is based upon that, and that comes from where they come from. Greek and Roman society was very much into that, and then we look, that's something that I spoke to a service member, found out in Afghanistan that it's it's a sin to a lot of members of the Taliban to have premarital sex or to rape a woman. That doesn't mean they won't do it. They'll deny it more than likely, but it's a sin. But it's not a sin to dress a small boy up as a woman and to groom them through the entirety of their childhood and then just release them with the thoughts that there'll be no ramifications or no effects on them mentally and just release them into the world. And that's okay. That's justifiable. And so it's got a long history, and the fact that it has been hidden and that it's not publicly spoken of, it means that they know it's wrong. They don't care.
Well, I just reported the other day, and now I knew about this. However, it came back up in an article on ABC News and the title says, Churches Defend Clergy Loophole in Child Sex Abuse Reporting. The clergy in 33 states are exempt from laws requiring professionals such as teachers, physicians, and psychotherapists to report information about alleged child abuse to police or child welfare officials. Now, these are the things that they set up to, cover it, to hide it. And then what they do is that if they are caught, they don't report it. They shuffle them around to different churches.
Yep.
Well, in a country that prides itself on separation of church and state, the state does a really good job of hiding a lot of that. I mean, technically, they're already robbing the government of their taxes to begin with, but and not to support the government in receiving their taxes, but you're looking at an organization that is basically a collective of child molesters getting not only a tax break, but being allowed to handle things internally that should not be allowed to be handled internally.
I mean, some of the shit shouldn't even be handled externally. It needs to come from elsewhere as well. And that's because the whole heart of it stems from somewhere else. Like even external is tied to internal. So it can still be handled on the outside, and it's not going anywhere because it's all part of the inside.
With this journey too, with all the conspiracy theories, which is what got me to where I am now and why I've shifted more towards this type of stuff to wake people up with what's going on in your church or your school, your state, whatever, to help change legislation and give examples of like Arizona bills that just recently passed about half a year ago. One of the bills that Arizona passed was that they tripled the sentencing on different levels of predators' crimes on children. Why isn't that in 50 states? Why is it only in Arizona? This is a no-brainer. Wouldn't every state want to, if they were getting 18 months, let's say in Arizona, they're now getting 6 years. Why is it that judges are allowed to go below the recommended sentencing whenever they feel like it? What kind of hush money are they being paid? Why? Why is it that people with lesser crimes are getting longer sentencing? I mean, let's look at January 6th. These people have been in jail for how long? But yet there's somebody that got caught with, let's say, thousands of CSAM, and they're getting 3 months because the judge felt like it.
Well, and Tennessee may have repealed this. I can't say that they haven't, but their consent, they went the exact opposite on that with their consent laws and marriage age laws, and that was spearheaded by a guy that I believe he had a 16-year-old interning for him when he was almost 40 that he ended up marrying when she turned 20. They went the exact opposite on it, and the surprising aspect of that to me was someone I knew defended that, not because they felt that it was right, but because of the political party that was pushing it, instead of saying, well, this is bad no matter what side it came from, because it came from their side. It was, well, you don't understand the situation. Well, I mean, I understand numbers and ages. That's clear cut. That doesn't change.
Right. Well, and maybe Hallie can shed some light on this. I do know at one point, I don't know if it's changed in Kansas, but at Kansas, you could be married at 14 with parental consent.
And I think that's still kind of prevalent in a lot of places in that Midwest sector. I think that's, I don't understand that. But again, like you said, there's the progress made in Arizona, but then on the other hand, there's that fall backwards completely in Tennessee. And again, I'm not a news person. I don't watch the news too often. That could have been repealed, but my understanding was not only did it passed pretty resoundingly.
How is it? Yeah.
Well, does anyone have anything to add before we jump into segment 3 and Rebecca takes over? Any closing thoughts? Shitmess.
No, I'm still making notes. I was like, okay, we're on to the next thing.
I have a closing thought.
Okay, go ahead.
Goose 2024. That's it.
Goose.
Actually, it's funny that you said that, because before we logged in backstage, I was telling them about some people back home here. I'll have to tell you guys that after we end the show and are backstage. But I'm going to take that as a sign, Dirty Dan, that you said that. Patriotmama, do you have any closing thoughts on what we were talking about there before we move on? Okay. Chaotic?
No, okay. I'm good.
Rebecca, going into segment 3, question of the week responses from last week, and the question was, what are the ethics of choosing to be ignorant?
Yeah. So personally, here are some of the responses. Personally, let them hate so much, then hit them with the truth. People like drama. It makes them listen. Good disguise, hit them between the eyes. Choose to be ignorant implies deliberate action and isn't much better than directly participating. I know many of us were ignorant prior to 2020, self mildly included. However, with all that is going on now, if they aren't questioning anything, oh God, my screen just moved. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Ignorance would be called a verb. To ignore, willingly ignore knowledge. Obtuse, not enough space in a single comment. Okay, please read the replies. I didn't read the replies. Their ethics cause them to refuse that a group in power could ever hurt its own people, and so they live in a state of cognitive dissonance. There is an inability for some to yield when they are wrong. If people were a business, most would file for bankruptcy. Myself and family is smart. Others choose to not do research and believe what they are told. They probably don't see themselves as ignorant. I agree with that. Who defines ignorant? Could be a personal opinion who we think is ignorant. I, however, believe that doing research and doing what is right. Believing the most current narrative is the ethics of, they have no ethics if they choose to be ignorant. So those were just some of the
some good ones. What is the new question of the week?
The new question, what?
I typed in the chat. I have an answer from me. I'd like to.
Oh, go ahead.
And as you, Goose, and Justin know, sometimes I will play devil's advocate here. And to me, the answer I kept coming back to is, and I'm not defending anyone, sometimes it's a situation or a piece of knowledge that I know I can't personally handle at that time, or it's a situation I can't personally handle at the time. So I choose to be ignorant to make sure that I don't end up hurting myself in that.
I don't think that that's choosing to be ignorant. I think that you're trying to justify ignorance. I think that's its own separate category of being aware enough to know where your mental state is at to not go forward with research of that information. I don't think that's being ignorant. I think that's taking a very conscious step back and saying, not right now. Not denying it completely and arguing with people in ignorance, but you're saying, hey, I just can't go there.
Okay. Mic drop, Rebecca.
So the new question of the week. This is a good one. I'm ready for this one.
All right.
She's bouncing.
Why does our perception... Stop. Why you don't? Why does our perception of time seem to fluctuate?
Ooh.
Time isn't
Write that
real.
down.
'Cause I don't sleep enough.
I can second that one. Yeah. It's time's one of those things that fascinate me endlessly. So I'm interested in hearing those responses because, a lot like Chaotic said, I think, and it's due to ignorance. I think my understanding of time is not an appropriate definition of what time is. Like, I'm like him. To me, time isn't, like, in the way that we view it, isn't real. It's not. It's not this singular thing from point A to point B. It's not. It's more circular than that.
Oh yeah.
That's why clocks are round.
What about digital clocks?
Fuck digital clocks.
Why did the little boy throw the clock out the window?
to watch time fly.
Well,
That's exactly right.
Look at casinos. There's no clocks in casinos, and they pump in their oxygen and
There's
cold
no
air.
windows.
No,
It's freezing.
They don't want you to think about time. They want your money.
Mm-hmm. And the Kozarov did a study on time, and he came to the determination that the density of time is dictated by our thoughts, right? So we can manifest time to be different, the density of it, right? Like how thick or thin time feels, or how fat, right? Time flies when you're having fun. So it's our thoughts, it's our intentions, it's what we're doing, it's the action that we're putting into it that literally changes time. I feel.
Dan gave me the best 6 seconds of my life.
He gave you 6?
That's all I could take.
Listen, if Rebecca wants 6 seconds, it's going to be 3 rounds. All right, I'm sorry.
Okay, bye.
Where are you going? We're not done yet.
She's going for them 3 rounds.
Again, our shout out to our TikToker of the week is Firewater. You can follow him on TikTok at Firewater8582. Again, that is Firewater8582 at TikTok. He is our TikToker of the week. You can still support Eastern Kentucky flood victims by going to Team EKY floodrelieffund.ky.gov. And be sure to check out upcoming episodes of Just Listen on YouTube, Cooking with Dirty Dan on TikTok, and The Shipwreck Show on YouTube. And Just Listen posted some shorts, a short last night that I encourage everyone to go check out.
So on that note, I do have some exciting news, and I did talk this over with Rachel, and I told her that I wanted to drop the news on this show today. So she hold on, let me get it. Rachel started The Unclothed, and she's on TikTok, and she works with a couple other creators, and basically like has this whole background in a whole bunch of things, but it kind of falls in line with everything else that we're doing, that I'm doing personally. And she approached me asking if I wanted a little section on her website that she has, which is theunclothed.com. And I'm going to, after this podcast, I'm going to link it in my clickables, so it will be available. So I do have, it is live now. So this is the first time that I'm talking about it. But what we're doing in that section, because I do like to keep all of my content different on all of my platforms. So the exclusive with that is I am dropping some of my writing pieces and going to be working on getting published, which is tying in to the
finally.
And I will be starting to read some of my stuff. So check that out. There are already some posted on there that I've written.
Is that where Undressed Jess is?
No.
I cannot see that on that name now. Every time. I'm sorry. I was just joking with her, but I really cannot not see that every time I see that name.
And I felt terrible when I said that. And she's such a sweet, awesome person.
And an awesome TikTok. She's got a great TikTok.
She does. And I explained to her, I'm like, set up, I've got the board, I'm looking at that, looking at text, format the screen, and I
see where you got it from.
That's how half of these TikTok names even came into existence and why Wanda is actually Nick. So, it's a whole thing. Whatever my brain sees first, that's what your name is permanently. Permanently. Like Howie will always be Howie. His real name doesn't exist in my mind.
But he did break you.
A couple people broke me.
So be sure to check out what the Queen's YouTube page, Just Listen, and her link tree, and click the clickables. We're very excited about that and for her. And be sure to.
I've been telling her to get published for so long now because she is an amazing person with a pen and a piece of paper and writes some very powerful stuff. So all the listeners out there, don't pressure her, but persuade her to help move that along. Don't pressure.
That invitation,
persuade. Because I just reading some of and being read to some of the things that she's written over the years, it's very powerful. And I know it will do a lot of good for a lot of people out there, whether she wants to admit it or not, or realizes it. It really is a special thing from her that she is finally opening up to start sharing with. So I'm excited for her on that, and I'm excited for that. Sorry, Goose.
Oh, you're fine, brother. You can go ahead and finish and take it away there if you want to say your outro stuff this week. I'm going to as well. One last time, the way that it's written down. Next week it'll be changed a little bit. I may have said that last week, but
you did.
I'm going to give it one more plug this week. So
as always, guys, be sure to go check out a couple friends of the show. You got Goose's favorite to say, Till Valhalla Project, the TVP team. They do a great thing for our service members. Like Justin was saying, what someone he talked to had dealt with and saw over there, a lot of shit is left up to them when it shouldn't be to deal with and decide. And it's never a bad thing to spread the message and spread the awareness and just be a friend. So go check out their stuff. A little purchase donates a long way. Go check out Carbon Capture Shield and the projects they're up to. They got a really, really neat thing going on in Africa right now. So you can check them out, carboncaptureshield.com. And, along with what Two-Way Patriotmama was with Adventures with Purpose, they were the ones who found Kylie Rodney, and opened an investigation into what actually happened to her, because it's not what people were thinking or saying. So stay tuned with that. Check them out on YouTube, Adventures with Purpose. You can always help support them because they are entirely volunteer based. They can always use help resources, even just, a warm meal. Check them out on their website, adventureswithpurpose.com. Stop by, say hi.
Is that it? What about the other stuff?
Other stuff.
DJ Nikki with the Carbon Capture Shield.
Just do
Goose.
it. He doesn't know.
Goose, I literally said it before.
I know. I am giving you a hard time. I want to say special thanks to Carlin for all the voiceover work. Be sure to check out and support friends of the show that have their own shows. I'm talking about CK and Uncle Bill over at deadpit.com. Talk Junkie and Retro Cult with Mr. Justin Perkins sitting in with us today. Justin, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Jordan Brad of Down on the Holler, Elliott, Gertie, and Beagle over at SpookyFamilyPodcast.com. The Mount Mysteries Podcast with Chris Sloan. And don't forget, John Marshall and Beyond the Paranormal. You can find that on YouTube and Facebook on Tuesdays. I think he moved it to 9 o'clock. If you want to awaken more, be sure to check out the lovely Rebecca Short as Flocking Queen on TikTok and Queen of the Flock 138 on Twitch. Once again, Chaotic, Patriotmama, Shitmess, Justin, Bollin, thank you all very much for being on the show today, the 100th episode. You guys are welcome back anytime. You're welcome back anytime, but I do want to go ahead and book you for the 200th episode. So whenever that comes around, I do want you guys on the 200th episode.
We'll get you the date. Don't worry. We'll start counting.
Joke's on y'all. Just because we said that, now we're doing an episode a day for the next 4.5 months.
Next week.
But thank you all very much. Please follow and support Chaotic. What is it? 6302 on TikTok?
It's literally
6033.
6033. Sorry.
Yep.
To a Patriotmama. Your TikTok handle, you can just search Patriotmama, and they'll be able to follow you that way.
Yeah, it's 2A Patriotmama _. I keep having to switch it around every account.
Some variation of that.
And if you
there's one _ at the end.
And if you want to follow Shitmess, she goes by Beautifully Calm. So, Justin, give us your mic's going out again. Give us your TikTok handle there.
The personal one's author J Perkins, I think, on TikTok, and then the band one's Pervice Band. Yeah.
Okay. And then Mr. Bollin Cox, just that symbol, Bollin Cox, correct?
Yeah, you can just find me out on the trail.
Okay. That'll do it for one more time. All right. I'm definitely, I should have changed that out during break.
Yeah, I was going to say, somebody didn't do what they were going to say.
No, I didn't. And I do want to remind everyone to be sure to look and check out the Dark to Light podcast. You can find that on YouTube, correct, Patriotmama?
Yeah, I have all the links up in my link tree for Rumble, YouTube, and Twitch. But you can search for Dark to Light 1111.
And we will hopefully have some commercials coming on soon on the podcast show, directing you to search and check out Dark to Light. That'll do it for this week. We'll see you next week. And until then, so long for now.
Maybe I'm not leaving. Maybe I'm just going home.
Bye, blockers.
Thanks for listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. Tune in next time as we dive deeper into things the government doesn't want us to know.